Hi guys, I'm Jason Inman. I like to read comic books, and you have stumbled on Jason Talks More, the supplemental show to Jason Talks Geek. This is a show that is funded by my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys over there. And they get to see it early, but we get to talk about cool stuff with geeky people like DJ Wooldridge
That's
here.
me.
Yeah, of Only Stupid Answers.
Yep.
His answers aren't stupid, though, so I don't know. It's just...
Well, I mean, there's no dumb questions, only stupid answers, and we provide the stupid
Fair
answers.
point. We're going to have a lot of dumb answers in this thing. So we're going to talk about, we have a fan question from Mr. Undecillion, at Mr. Undecillion, and they ask, will we ever get another JLA Avengers smash up with another classic creative team like Busiek and Perez? They're talking about Kurt Busiek and Perez. They're talking about the JLA Avengers, this book that was going to be in the 80s, and then didn't get finished until the late 90s, early 2000s. Have you read this book?
I unfortunately have not.
You have not? You might have to borrow my copy.
I would love to. I can't tell you what I have read from the 90s, the Marvel versus DC crossover.
I love that. And the Amalgam Universe.
Yes, the Amalgam Universe.
And then the sequel, All Access.
You know what? I would like. That's the following the guy that was the merge.
His name was Access.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember seeing those in the bookstore. That's what I want to know. I want to know if we're ever going to get Amalgam's return.
I so hope we get Amalgam's return. But I thought it would be great that we talk about this if we think we'll ever get another Justice League and Avengers comic book crossover, and who would be like our dream team for that.
Yeah.
Now, I think we will. I think it might be 10 years down the road.
Yeah.
But I do think that in the next decade, we're going to see a Justice League Avengers crossover comic.
That'd be amazing. It would probably be kind of like once the superhero thing is kind of dying down a little bit, like how do we make the money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be the thing. Now, I asked you before we recorded this video to pick a writer and to pick an artist, like a dream team, to live up to the Kurt Busiek, George Perez. They are comic book legends. Yeah. They're hard to beat. Who would be your team for a sequel to Justice League Avengers?
I got to tell you, thinking a lot, I've spent an ungodly amount of time thinking about a Marvel and DC smash up. For me, like DC versus Marvel. But for this, it's actually my response was actually in response to your pitch.
Should I go first then?
I think you should go first.
Okay. Well, I thought long and hard about who would be the best person to take this over, but I also think there's something to be said to have like one Marvel writer and one DC writer, and they team up to make the book. So it kind of feels like the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I think Jonathan Hickman would be my Marvel choice because I think he wrote Secret Wars. He wrote this great Avengers run, Fantastic Four run. Yep. I think also this is something that I don't want them to just copy what Kurt Busiek did because Kurt Busiek is a great writer. You can't beat him. So I want them to go crazy. And I thought about, okay, well, who's somebody on the DC side that could fit perfectly with Jonathan Hickman? And I think that's Grant Morrison.
Yep, they have a very, like you said earlier, they have a very similar writing style.
And I think what you do is you give them the storyline of like, let's bust into the multiverse of both universes.
That would be insane.
Because if you think about Secret Wars, Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars was kind of a Crisis on Infinite Earths of the Marvel Universe.
Yes, very much so.
And Grant Morrison just wrote the Multiversity.
Yep.
He wrote Final Crisis.
Yep.
He knows all. So I think go into the multiverse of both universes and crash them together.
Well, and they both, especially in Multiversity, they had their Earthsats Marvel universe within that. It's like,
and they also have an Image Earth in there.
Yeah, like what if you could legitimately just have it?
Yeah.
Just have that the two multiverses together. That would be amazing.
You just crash them together. And then I was thinking about like an artist, and George Perez has a very natural, I don't want to say old school, but he more old school than modern techniques. But he has a classic, beautiful style. Like I think his art totally holds up.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think about somebody now that can match that style. And for me, it's Nicholas Scott.
Yep.
She is an amazing artist. She is drawing Wonder Woman right now. She draws the Wonder Woman Year One. It is amazing, beautiful art. Yeah. It, to me, matches the best of George Perez. She also did some great stuff on Earth 2. That was the series that launched with the New 52, and she redesigned like all the. I have the Earth 2 Trinity right here behind you.
So cool.
Those are all her designs. She has such an amazing design aesthetic, and I think that she could make these immensely beautiful panels to the craziness of Hickman and Morrison.
So what do you think? You give them like 12 issues and you give them like 4 years to get it done?
12 issues. Well, see, here's the thing about Nicholas Scott. She's fast.
Which is a nice skill to have in this industry.
She is a very fast artist. She doesn't miss deadlines.
No.
So she could keep that, as long as they can give the scripts to her, she can keep that book on time. I don't know if I would go for 12 issues. I'm just
saying you can incorporate the multiverse. That's all. Multiverses, 2 multiverses. That's a lot. You know what I do like about the 2 multiverses is that you avoid the problem that they had in Marvel versus DC, where it was like Ben Reilly's Spider-Man versus Superboy, and it's like, this isn't Spider-Man.
You're like, I don't want to see that.
Don't get me wrong. I love Ben Reilly's Spider-Man.
I do love Ben Reilly's Spider-Man.
His costume is still one of my favorites.
That's my favorite Spider-Man costume.
Yeah, it's
his
anyway.
Spider-Man costume.
Yeah. But it's, you know what I mean? It's like, I love Jane Foster Thor. If you're having your big Marvel DC matchup, it's like that. She's not the Thor I want. Yeah, you want the Thor. You know?
Yeah. Okay, so you said that you picked your choices of writer and artist for this based on my choices.
Because I don't think you can beat. You definitely can't beat
Hickman Morrison.
You can't beat that. As far as like picking 2 writers from either side. So I was just thinking. So who's a writer that has worked in both worlds and done classic runs in both worlds? And so I went with Mark Waid.
That's a great choice, man.
Because he's done Kingdom Come. He's most recently did Daredevil. Now he's going to do, what is it, Champions?
Yes, he's doing Champions and Black Widow.
Yeah. And Black Widow's amazing. Anyway, so I think as a writer, like if you had to pick one guy that could do both worlds justice, I think he's the guy.
Yes.
And then I was thinking, again, my brain went to Marvel versus DC. So I was thinking like big, bombastic, like summer blockbuster level art. So I was like, Jim Lee, you know?
You know, and as soon as I saw your answer of Jim Lee, I was like, oh my God, that is the person you pick for this book, because it would be, he has worked for both sides.
Yep. absolutely
stunning. Probably the modern George Perez in terms of stature.
And it wouldn't necessarily be as nuanced as what Nicholas Scott would provide. But when I was thinking more action oriented, just the two teams slugging it out.
Yeah,
it's like Jim Lee. You know,
you would have to now you would have to do the thing like you talked about with my artist. You would have to give him like 3 years to complete the book.
Yes, because you'd
have to give him the scripts now, and we'll see this book in 2020.
Yeah.
You know, that and so he can work, because he's a busy man. He's the co-publisher of a company.
Yes.
He's got other stuff to do.
That's the one problem with my choices. He's got a lot on his plate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Marvel versus DC, so I've spent a lot of time thinking about
that book too, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's we went off this weird tangent. Marvel versus DC here. Would you want to see Marvel versus DC to come back?
Yeah.
I do too.
I
do too.
I've spent time thinking about like who, because I didn't really necessarily like the mashups in the original Marvel vs. DC. So I've been thinking, like, if you did it now, like, obviously you have Wonder Woman versus Captain Marvel.
Okay.
That's an easy. I was thinking Superman versus Thor. Again, classic Thor. I think with Batman, even though they're a little bit different, you put them against Iron Man just for that marquee level. The difficulty is characters like Spider-Man.
It's true.
Does DC really have a character?
Blue Beetle?
The Jaime Reyes?
Jaime Reyes, maybe?
But then it's like, it's a little one-sided because, Spider-Man... Especially if you did it.
Jaime's wearing Iron Man armor, dude.
Do you remember when they did the write-in votes?
I voted.
Yeah. Who'd you vote for?
I voted for. Well, I think that this concept, what we're talking about here, is so cool. So I'm gonna ask you something right now in the middle of a live video. Can we do another video about this?
Yes.
All right, we're going to end this video right now, and you can see in the future we're going to go through the Marvel versus DC rankings of the old series, and we're going to talk about which ones we think were right and which ones were stupid, and then I'll tell you which ones because I actually did.
I am so excited.
I wrote in and actually sent it in.
Because there was some... I'm excited.
We're going to save it. Okay. All right, DJ, tell them where they can find you on the internet.
At DJ Talks Trash, anywhere that matters. And look up Only Stupid Answers on iTunes and SoundCloud.
It is a great podcast. You need to go listen to it on iTunes. I listen to it every week. It is so much fun. Thanks, I'm a listener, guys. And go support patreon.com/Jawiin, Jawiin, because that's what makes Jason Talks more. And go check out Jason Talks Geek. Click subscribe. I'll be seeing you next week, and we're going to have a Marvel vs. DC showdown. See you guys.